You can't have a machine gun that just like you press and hold the trigger and it's just raining bullets. And the bump stock brought like what would be like a single fire weapon, a rifle, really close to acting like that. And so like the problem was just that it because it did that, Congress tried to then say, well, then those weapons are now actually machine guns. They're not regular rifle, regular just like rifles. And the the Supreme Court didn't like that because, like, regardless of like, I mean, obviously, notwithstanding like certain really specific modifications, at the end of the day, if it's not designed exclusively like a machine gun that would classify it as a machine gun, then it's not a machine gun, and you can't just find some way to just change it. Okay, I guess it's just an attachment. It doesn't fundamentally change the gun. No, you know something? I never really looked. I've only ever read about it. Let's actually look and see. Hold on. Let me see what's just checking text messages real quick. It's 3:20. Okay, cool. Let's see. Bump stock video. Let's actually take a look. I'm going to let this guy play, and I am actually going to play it at a slightly slower speed this time. Instead of my typical 1.5, we'll do 1.25. Just so I can finish the serial before.
So today's video is going to be a little different and slightly more serious. There's been a lot of talk in the news lately about something called a bump stock. Now, where I live in Utah, shooting guns is a fairly recreational activity. I would say Texas, Utah, and Idaho have plenty of guns distributed between the general population, and it's kind of like a hobby thing. People go out to shoot guns. It's even a great date idea, and I've owned plenty of guns in my life and my family, and it's just kind of like part of the custom and part of the culture. But lately there's been something in the news called a bump stock and how it attaches to a semi-automatic rifle. Now, I've never used a bump stock before, but I am curious as to how easy it is to install, what's it made of, and what it can actually do. So yesterday I went out and bought an AR-15. This particular setup is about $1,500. I walked into a local sports store, picked out the gun I wanted, they did a background check, and I walked out of there. So the thing about an AR-15 is that it's pretty customizable. You can swap out the barrels, you can swap out the lowers, you can put scopes on the rails, you can swap out the back stock. And this stock part is what we're going to be talking about today, because the bump stock replaces the handle of the gun and the stock of the gun and allows you to fire at an automatic rate with a semi-automatic weapon. I'll explain what those mean in a second. So while I'm pretty familiar with guns, I am not a gun expert by any means. I literally just bought this gun yesterday, and this video is purely to just see what a bump stock is capable of doing. After major tragedies like the one in Las Vegas or the one in Texas, people call for stricter legislation on guns in general, and particularly these bump stocks. But only by learning about them and knowing what they're capable of can we make the most educated decision. I was able to purchase a bump stock of my own. These are available online from multiple websites and local classifieds. This one cost me about $400, so we're going to install it on the AR-15 right now and see what it can do. So right now we're going to shoot this several times. Right now the bump stock is not in place, and we're going to see how many rounds we can get off without the help of a bump stock. So this gun is semi-automatic, so every time I pull the trigger there's going to be a bullet leaving out the end of the chamber. So I'm going to cock back the gun. That puts a bullet into the chamber. Safety is now off, and I'm ready to fire. That was relatively quick. So this is a 40 round clip, and so every time I pull the trigger 40 times, I can lose all the ammo inside of that clip. And that was pretty fast. You can get a lot of shots off in a pretty short amount of time. So now let's install the bump stock, and as a noob, I've never shot with a bump stock before, we'll see if it's possible to shoot faster than it is with just a straight trigger. So how bump...
Okay, so off the bat, I mean, yeah, like if it doesn't significantly change it, because even then, I mean, like you're only limited by how fast you can I mean, you can pull the trigger. So I mean, I guess it would convince me that the banning the bump stop would be kind of I don't know, trivial, for lack of a better word. But all right, let's see now what the actual bump stop actually does. Now, I ain't gonna lie to you, if I just see nothing but just like metal flying out of this damn gun, then that might change my mind. But let's see.
Stock work is actually incredibly simple. The gun slides around inside of the stock and uses the recoil of the gun to shoot more bullets. This piece is pretty important. I'm a right-handed shooter, so I use my right hand to pull the trigger. And so I'm gonna take this piece of plastic, slide it onto the gun, and it blocks the trigger on one side. So when I grab the gun, I rest my finger on that piece of plastic on the far side, and then using the gun, I can pull forward with this hand. My finger connects with the trigger, pulls it, and then the gun will bounce back and forth, and each time it hits my finger, it'll shoot another round. And since the gun is doing it all automatically, it can pull the trigger faster than I can pull the trigger, hence the full auto function of the bump stop. So these are the bullets right here. We have a 5.56, and it's just a whole box of these things. These things are about 40 cents a piece. So I also got these clips.
I ain't gonna lie. Whoever thought of that design, that was pretty cool. I mean, that's pretty cool. And I guess that makes sense. They might be concerned it could lead to banning other stuff. Well, yeah, right. That's the whole point, right? Because if you're going to sit there and you're going to say that by just because it seems like it didn't change the underlying mechanics of the actual weapon itself. It's just like made it possible that you had a mechanism in play to pull the trigger itself a lot faster, which is fundamentally different from a machine gun. Like a machine gun, there's no need of the trigger after you pull it the very first time, right? Because like it's just like the whole thing is just like is essentially automatic. I mean, that's inherent in its name. It's automatic. Like there's no longer any intervention needed from you. Whereas what this modification is doing is like it still doesn't remove that. Like because the gun still has to like actually physically move itself. I wouldn't see it. I couldn't see. I mean, I could see the argument for it, but like in the end, I wouldn't say that fundamentally changed the weapon to be like an actual machine gun. So yeah, like there'd be a huge concern with banning other stuff, because then if you could just make a classification just because of like how something like that works on it, then you can. I mean, you could probably think of all kinds of creative ways of like then doing stuff. Like I'm trying to think like I mean, I wonder if like I wonder if like if you had bullets, I wonder if it'd be possible to actually have bullets with like tipped explosions or tipped like gunpowder in them, where like when they make impact they have like they blow up a tiny bit, right? Because then you can consider those explosives instead of bullets, right? I mean, you could probably consider incendiary rounds as actual maybe fire or something. Yeah.
clips
Yeah.
hold 40
Yeah.
rounds.
I think it's probably good that it was overturned. I never really like bothered to really look too much into it, but yeah, it's probably good that it was overturned. I mean, and then the thing is, it's just at the end of the day, like, what is it? I understand what they were. I understand what they were trying to go for, what they were aiming to change. But in reality, like, what were you going to change from keeping that type of attachment away? You can still shoot. You can still shoot really fast. You just pull the trigger, quick enough. So I don't know.
They're about $20 each, and I can take the little bullets and just pop them into the top. And then the whole clip just slides into the gun when you're ready to shoot. This is my first time shooting with the bump stock, so we're gonna see how it goes. I got the clip in place. The stock is functional. Safety is off. We're loaded. And let's see how this works. All right. That was faster than expected. Okay. So that shot much faster than I anticipated, obviously. And each time I shoot one of these clips, by the way, it's about 16 American dollars, 16 US dollars. So it's a lot of ammo going very, very quickly. What we're gonna do right now is I'm gonna do it one more time, but this time we're gonna shoot it in slow motion using a Galaxy S8. And you can pay attention to the stock and the trigger and watch how the gun is
That man said Galaxy S8 6 years ago. Oh, okay, man. That brings me back. Galaxy S8.
recoiling inside of the bump stock, so we can get a better idea of how it works. So watch here as my hand pulls forward on the barrel of the gun. This brings the trigger up to my stationary trigger finger. My finger never moves, but still connects with the trigger due to the forward motion of the gun. The gun then fires, and the recoil brings the gun back to my stationary finger over and over, causing the trigger to be pulled again and again, very quickly.
bro, that I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. That was a massive difference. Are you kidding me? Like, no, like you, like, oh my gosh. But and I'm really happy that he did that slow motion because as you can see, right, it didn't change. Like he's still pulling the trigger. He's still technically pulling the trigger. So it's still a manual intervention. That's what the specific definition was that I think they specifically cited in that over when they overturned it was that like it still did not remove the manual intervention that still needed to be done on the weapon in order to actually shoot the next bullet. Whereas a machine gun, like a full-fledged machine gun, there is no intervention whatsoever. When you pull and hold the trigger, right, the weapon is shooting and it is shooting automatically and on its own. Whereas this, they just found a clever way to make it so that you could technically, it is still technical, like you can see it in the slow mo. You are still technically pulling the trigger. It's just help. It's just moving the trigger into your finger for you. So, but yeah, no, that shit's crazy fast. That's funny, but like, to be, and I wonder if there's even a good argument for, if there's even a good argument for like what would do more damage, an automated rifle or like a semi-automatic, because I feel like, um, I mean, sure. I mean, you can get an extended clip or whatever, but like, I mean, unless there's like I guess unless you're like in the middle of a crowd of people. But even then, I just don't see. I don't see like how you could harm more people than like if you was just doing it manually. In fact, I feel like you could probably be a little bit more effective because you'd have better control. But I mean, I guess they'd argue like you could just like hit fire and then just spray. I don't know. It's probably good that it was overturned, but I ain't gonna lie to you. I see why it was banned in the first. Kind of do see why they tried to ban it in the first place. That shit crazy. But
Until I run out of ammo. Accuracy is severely compromised, but accuracy isn't really the point of full auto. Here's the semi-auto firing rate one more time. My finger was pulling the trigger manually. And here it is again, with the currently fully legal bump
yeah,
stop.
and see, like that one he just did. He was doing that himself manually. You damn near almost couldn't even really tell. You would have thought that it was damn near like automatic because you think it's just going. So
Installed on the AR-15. I'll be pretty honest, I'm pretty blown away with how well the bump stock works and how much ammo it can throw out of the gun as fast as it did. I was not expecting that. Now, as far as all the controversy goes, I'm not going to jump into that on this channel. Personally, I think that, guns are a great hobby, but not everyone in the world is sane, and they can turn something good and fun into something absolutely terrible. Not just with guns, but with cars, vehicles, anything can be turned into something bad. Like always, you're more than welcome to comment about this stuff in the comment section right below this video, but make sure to keep it a conversation and not an argument. Let's keep it constructive and productive. So even though this video was quite a bit different than what I usually do on this channel, I think it was interesting and useful. Knowledge is power, and now we know what bump stocks are capable of, what they can do, and we can make more educated decisions on whether they should be banned or just kept in existence. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and keep it constructive and not destructive. We're here for the conversation.
yeah, I like it. I gotta give it a like. Hopefully this will hit my algorithms a little bit better. But that was that was pretty good. Um, I wonder if they have something. I wonder if they have something like that for handguns. If they had something like that for handguns, I think it probably would be a wrap.